My name is Elise Klessman, and I've been in Vallecito for 9 years. I knew that I wanted to move to this valley from Costa Mesa, and I knew that I wanted to live in a mobile home. So I went around the county with my sister-in-law and looked at several mobile home parks. When we drove up to the clubhouse up on the hill, I got out, I looked around, and I said, this is it. It's not whether I'm coming here, it's just when. And so when I found this house, I fell in love with it, and I remodeled and painted and papered, and I'm so happy here. I love it here.
The City of Thousand Oaks had rent stabilization, which means rent control of mobile home parks, for many, many years, going back to the late 70s, I believe is when it first started. And the ordinance that the city had allowed park owners only a certain percentage of CPI every year for an automatic increase. And that really worked for quite a number of years. And then we had Vallecito, which is one of our larger, beautiful parks that came in for a subdivision. And what that means is once they subdivide, and that means individual ownership of the land and the coach, once they sell one of those individual land pieces, rent control's gone. So we had a lot of people, very large park at Vallecito, going through this whole process that ultimately would result in them losing rent control.
The rents increased every year, and there were times when they were pretty much nominal increases. However, there were opportunities for the park owners to increase rents considerably.
The mobile home park business in Thousand Oaks kind of reached a crisis in about 2005, 6, 7. One of the smaller mobile home parks decided to close. That had never happened before in the city. Our property owner looked down the road and realized that under the restrictive ordinance that Thousand Oaks had, we were eventually just going to go out of business or not be able to run Vallecito the way it should be run. A couple of the other park owners realized that their rents were way below what they should be and went into the city and applied for bigger rent increases.
And the city council was left with very few options because of what state law says. Under our ordinance, park owners have the right to come in and say, your rent control isn't giving me a reasonable profit. I think I'm entitled to more money. And that started really getting people concerned because the amount of money that the park owners were asking for was astronomical. They were coming in with very, very, very high rents.
I just about fainted. And I thought, this can't be. I can't pay this. I get $1,536 a month. I pay another $200 for supplemental insurance, and $1,300 would be what I have left. There's no way. And when I started seeing my neighbors and meeting my neighbors, I knew that they were in worse financial situation than I was. That this can't be, this can't happen. We have to do something.
And I'd like to call order the Thousand Oaks City Council meeting for Tuesday.
One of the park owners approached Mayor Fox, who listened to what he had to say and brought it forward to the city council and said to the council, asking for authority to enter a mediation process that would bring park owners and residents together. And the council had the vision to see that that was maybe the perfect time to try to do this.
In February, Mayor Fox convened a meeting of all of the mobile home residents in the city of Thousand Oaks. They talked to us about the prospects of increased rents and this continual kind of thing. There had already been 2 cases where 2 different parks had applied for rent increases, and they were granted. And once that ball started rolling and people began to realize this is real, rent increases are real, and if we keep this up, everybody is going to be miserable. And when the mayor called the meeting of all of the people in the city, all the mobile home residents, and he broached the idea of having a commission. He had already talked to the park owners, and now he was talking to us, suggested we form a delegation, somebody from each park, and let's get on with this and avoid lawsuits and heartbreak.
The key turning point in the whole process was the city set up this mediation and had it on a Saturday, starting at 8 in the morning. And we had no idea what to expect. Everybody had their opening position, and Mayor Fox, made a speech, and the city attorney kind of laid out the ground rules. And we went on and on for 2 or 3 hours, and one of the key issues was whether there would be a rent subsidy plan to help any needy resident who couldn't afford higher rent increases. And that was something that we didn't know whether we could get all the owners to agree to. When we finally did, and I was able to say, we'll do it, the resident representatives kind of extended their hands across the table. And to me, it was like this huge iceberg was just cracked right in the middle and started melting. And then it was all details from there on out, how much of a rent increase, what do we do on this, what do we do on that. But I think that, to me, fractured the fear. And once that fear went away, then it was just a question of the city kind of pushing both sides to solve what were, after that, minor issues.
The process itself was, it was long, it was difficult, but each time the mayor went from one group to the next, there was an inch of progress. And so by the end of the day, people were ready to sit down and initial the agreements. And that was like, hooray.
So at the end of the mediation, what really happened was we had an agreement between park owners and residents. Both sides walked away happy because they each got what they felt was important to their side. They were able to talk, come to an agreement. They had, for the park tenants, residents, they had certainty for the next 10 years. Park owners felt that they were given a reasonable rate of return and that they could live with it for the next 10 years. And there really was, as I want to say, peace in the valley again. This was a true success story.
The negotiations with the owners and what the city did for us, you can't even imagine what that was like. People that weren't involved in it really can't imagine the ramifications of what everything that happened. I mean, for the city to do this and come up with this and think of this, and for the owners to participate in this was absolutely amazing. They really had a heart, and I respect them immensely because they came through with something that helped us.
It was truly an amazing thing. I think one of the first times that you see the city, the business owners, and the citizens working together to solve a problem. And we did it.
It would not have happened but for Andy Fox. He did everything he said he would do. He didn't take sides, but he pushed. He was the one that said, this is the way the process is going to be. And I don't know whether there's going to be a solution, but we're going to follow the process. And like I said, that Saturday setting and the way he set that up, in hindsight, was a stroke of genius because it really put everybody to the test as to what their final position was going to be.
This particular success is broader than just mobile home owners. It really is something that I think could be replicated across the state, because most of the mobile home parks across the state are populated by people who have retired. And I go back to my point again, and this is the affordable way to maintain independence as a retired person. So it's bigger than just Thousand Oaks. It's bigger than just mobile homes. And I'm just thrilled that I was part of this. I really am.